the country have been protesting. Across the country have been protesting against Republicans at town hall meetings, and no one is talking so bad that this woman in Idaho got dragged on the floor for challenging her Republican representative. Do your job! Do your job! Do your job!
They need to be held accountable. There is a conflict of interest. They do not belong in our government. He is a billionaire that was not voted in.
So monumental that people in Republican states like Texas are going against their Republican congressmen. What are Republicans doing in response? They are completely stopping their town hall meetings. They've been getting so much pushback nationally in so many states and so much bad press that they've just decided, you know what, we're just not going to do the town halls because we don't want to hear it. Being out on town hall meetings is a direct violation of people's First Amendment rights. It is our right to go to a town hall meeting and express our concerns. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Make sure you follow me to stay up to date with the news.
All right, guys, welcome to episode 5 of the A&M podcast. I'm Andre and Left Independent, and the A&M podcast is exclusively on the ATP network. Catch the ATP network on all the platforms except for Rockfin at the moment, and be sure on the bottom of your screen to follow the ATP network crew. That's all of our handles on Twitter.
Yeah, Rockfin is really hard to get onto. I was interacting in a thread with Ron Placone, who used to be on Jimmy Dore's show until he and Graham Elwood had a falling out with Doorknob. But yeah, it's really tough to get on there. In fact, I think Placone has basically all but given up on that platform. I don't know what Rockfin's called, but with like Rumble and Odyssey and a lot of other platforms, like say, for example, I'm trying to figure out. Let's see, what was that other? See, there's Locals. Yeah, Locals. Yeah. So that, most of these are basically right-wing troll sites and conspiracy websites, alt-right media. I mean, you do get a few left-wing voices on there, but they pretty much figured early on, these are not the platforms for us, because even if we don't get banned right away for daring to speak out, we won't get any traffic on there, so it's basically stuck on YouTube and Twitter.
Hey, I'm on Rockfin. We got 51 followers, and we get decent views, but we ain't getting no traction, especially now since I'm criticizing Trump more. So before we get started, Nick, he had a couple of members from the ACP party on RBN. Give me your thoughts on. I mean, did you see it? And if you did, give me your thoughts.
I skipped it because I figured, it's a waste of time. That they do nothing but lie anyway. But Nick. See, the problem with Nick is you can't tell him anything. He's got to be right all the time, and I'm not a saint. I know. If someone approaches me like an asshole, I'm going to shut it down. But the thing about ACP, headed by Haxon Stinkle and Caleb Maupin and Nick Brown and all that shit. The and Infrahaas is another big one. These are fascists. Okay, they're MAGA Trump supporters cosplaying as leftists, and if you look at their actual Twitter feeds and their actual platforms, Haxon Stinkle was praising African countries for passing the death penalty against gay and trans people. He's also very anti-BLM and anti
his tweets
part of that crowd
garbage.
defending Kyle Rittenhouse and all that shit. So
Yeah,
these, and of course, our COVID tendencies and conspiracy mongering. They're very far right, but they try and cosplay as leftists to try and reel in the left and make them join up with the fascists.
Yeah.
So anyone with half a brain understands these people are toxic and why even bother.
Yeah.
And then, from what I'm told, Nick basically just let them lie without any real challenge.
Yeah, he didn't push back. I've seen the whole thing.
Like, yeah, I mean, I don't.
He ripped his own base that follow him. He said, you left this with 200 followers with helmet circle in your profile. I'm like, damn, man, like,
well,
that's dude, a bit
people warned you. I mean, they kept telling you, look, why give these assholes a platform when they already have one, and you're not even bothering to challenge them? I mean, you don't have nearly as much shade for these clowns as you do for people on the actual left.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Sabby, Rome, and JB are probably the ones on RBN who are really worth listening to. Nick doesn't really seem to know what he believes, and really some of the people he associates with or insists on associating with, like ACP and the whole LaRouche libertarian crowd. I mean, they do not want the same things that the left wants. Okay, and this is why I really was like leery of Jimmy Doorknob saying, "Oh, we need to reach out across to the extreme right and try and find common ground." There is no common ground.
The extreme right don't like my black ass.
The right does not want the same things that the left does.
Yeah.
Okay? The left wants people to have housing, health care, adequate food and drink, adequate wages. So that we can afford to pay our rent and not go into debt trying to pay our medical bills. To get decent education without having to go into that. That's the left. The extreme right wants to exterminate everyone who is not like them.
Yeah, they want a race war, basically.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it's just So I just think it's kind of pointless, and like I said, I don't hold myself up as anyone's parent or boss or anything. People are free to do what they want. But I was telling Nick, look, when everyone's telling you the same thing, dude, maybe try listening to your audience.
Yeah, especially Jackson Stinkle is in there. Like, yeah, that's a big red flag. Yeah. Like,
so I did the Dude Bro debate with Vosh Wannabe a few years ago, and I handed him his ass except for a couple of flubs on my part. I failed to do 100% research on there, but for the most part, I just found it was a waste of time because I didn't change the guy's mind. Of course, his mind wasn't open to change, and because he was defending Biden on pretty much everything, and I'm like, I'm taking him apart like line by line.
Yeah.
And he's just not getting it. So, I just was like, you know what? No, it's kind of pointless getting into discussions with these assholes because their number one thing is to speak without end and not let you get a word in edgewise so that you can't challenge them on their bullshit. I shut that shit down.
Yeah. You're a great debater.
I mute people's microphones over that shit. Because if you've got two people talking at once, it's hard for almost impossible actually for anyone to kind of understand.
To hear, comprehend,
so that whole dynamic I just don't bother with. So hey, it's Nick's show.
Yeah, that's what I said too.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna do anything other than say, hey, I told you so, and that's all I can do.
Yeah,
you do it that, up to you.
Yeah, he took that shit personally, man. Like, damn, like I'm pretty sure he's gonna lose a lot of followers for that. Like, he's his own.
He's an adult, he's old enough to make decisions. So
you're right.
I don't hold any grudges against the guy. I just point out what I think is true, and if he wants to listen, fine. If not, okay, fine.
That's
not my show.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. What you think? What's your thoughts about that video we played with the town halls and shit?
Yeah. This was an exercise in fucking around and finding out because
Yeah.
MAGA, I mean, as much as I despise Steve Bannon and his crowd, they were trying to warn MAGA about Muskrat and his influence over Trump.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to listen. They wanted to think that Trump was like some all-powerful, incorruptible deity, and they're finding out, oh wait, Trump actually despises them too.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
here's the thing, right-wingers will happily sacrifice their own well-being just to fuck over, people who are different from them, whether you're black or brown or red or yellow or Hispanic or something other than white heterosexual cis person. They will happily fuck people over just to own them, and also fuck themselves over in the process. But this was going a bit too far even for them.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Fuck around, find out. I mean that.
Yeah,
I mean that's all I.
Yeah, and the worst part is, I could have told you, look, these assholes do not listen to reason. You are not going to talk sense into. I mean, it used to be a matter of conventional wisdom that Republicans fear their base, quite rightly so, whereas Democrats hold their own in contempt. Well, now the Republicans are starting to realize, you know what, maybe we should ignore our base too.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is a wrong lesson. Actually, both parties need to listen to their bases, but
Exactly.
But they're actually kind of surprised by the pushback because they assumed that their base was in line with them. No, the Republican base really does not forgive easily, and it doesn't forget either. So I think politically, the midterms are not going to be as good for the GOP as I think it's going to be.
Yeah.
I think right now, it's still early on, anything can change, but my prediction is that if the GOP holds on to its majority, it'll be by the slimmest of margins in the midterms.
Yeah. I think they'll keep the Senate and then lose the House.
The only way they lose the House of Representatives is if the Democrats keep to their usual tactic of fucking over their own base to the point they turnout is non-existent. I mean, Greg Palast, I used to respect him quite a lot. I still do on some level, but he keeps harping on Republican electoral rigging and ignores Democrats when they do it. And he kind of bought into Russiagate as well. So, he keeps forgetting, the Republicans wouldn't be able to steal elections nearly as easily or as frequently as they do if the Democrats didn't keep running these fascist candidates.
Right.
And when you look at their recent meeting that they had where they decided, we're just going to double down on what we did last year that cost us the election.
Yeah.
It's time to
crazy.
It's kind of time to purge the small dollar donors and the left and poor people, and toss trans people under the bus and then every other marginalized group while we're at it. It's like they decided, we're just going to keep being Republicans.
Yeah, basically.
So that party is probably going to be lucky if it manages to win the midterms.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of people say it's going to be a bloodbath for the
I doubt
it.
If you look at the non-entity they had to respond to Trump's State of the Union Lie Fest.
Yeah.
Apparently she's some CIA officer under both Bush and Obama.
Obama. Obama.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Obama.
Yeah, the guy who dropped so many bombs the U.S. actually ran out.
It ran out of bombs, Drone strike.
So that's who you put up. And then, of course, she's doubling down on Trump's border policy and, all this other shit. And it's like, why even put someone up to respond if you're just going to double down on all this shit?
They
only
want the same.
voice to Trump's State of the Union was to lament about Ukraine, which no one gives a shit about.
Yeah, people stop talking about Ukraine as soon as October 7th happened. So yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, if that's what the Democrats can do, I mean, the next 4 years are going to be rough, dude. Those of us who can get out really should. Those of us who
yeah,
can't
I
are
need to
pretty
get
much
out.
fucked. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Okay. You got any news stories?
well, I skipped the State of the Union, although I have been reading up on it, and
Okay.
yeah. So apparently Trump doubled down on his desire to annex Canada, Greenland,
Oh, jeez.
Panama Canal, Mexico, although he didn't mention it by name, but he was basically implying that when he said the country south of the border, or the territory south of the border specifically, not the country, he's referring to Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's basically stating flat out, yeah, we're going to invade all these by whatever means necessary and take ownership of them. And who's going to stop us? And
Yeah.
Trump is so fucking stupid that he actually probably believes that he can pull all of this off. We've got 800 military bases around the planet already.
Yeah.
But he thinks we're going to build more in order to occupy Greenland, Canada, which is, vast territory, geographically speaking. It is quite large. Mexico, Panama, and northern South America, presumably.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the Caribbean too, although how he expects to manage all this. I mean, anywhere from 70 to 75% of the military is functioning, which means basically 25 to 30% of the U.S. military is disabled from COVID.
Yep.
And it was already suffering from low recruitment before the pandemic started.
Exactly.
So, so an increasing number of soldiers are not physically or mentally fit to serve in combat operations.
Right. Right.
We also expended a lot of ammo and military hardware, throwing it away on the Ukraine war, giving it to Israel to wage its genocide in Palestine.
Yeah.
So how exactly does Trump intend to accomplish all this?
Trump
he's
is
living in a
delusional.
fantasy land. Yeah.
Yeah, delusional. Yeah.
I mean, it won't stop him from trying, but logistics trumps agenda every time. Doesn't matter what your goals are. If you don't have the resources or the manpower to pull it off, you're not going to make it happen. And the debacle last weekend with Zelensky in the White House.
Yeah.
Zelensky, of course, is now trying to do a 180 and say, okay, yeah, I'll sign the agreement. And Trump went ahead yesterday and decided, no, we're cutting off all aid to Ukraine now. No more intelligence sharing. No more weapons or money after the current batch is run out. You're on your own. Zelensky did the one unforgivable sin. He made it personal. In terms of insulting Trump and Vance, he made it personal for them. So even if he does a complete 180 and bends over, no, he's fucked. And so is Ukraine. Now, the one silver lining that might save Ukraine is that Russia is probably not going to accept whatever deal that Trump and his couch fucker assistant try
Vice principal.
Yeah, because here's the thing. First of all, Ukraine does not have any rare earth minerals or metals. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. Okay.
Yeah.
Trump called it raw minerals, but he meant to say rare earth. But even that was a misunderstanding. There are strategic metals and minerals in Ukraine. Stuff like copper, lithium, titanium. But there's no actual infrastructure in place to extract it from the ground and refine it.
Right.
And what's under there, what we know for sure, if we're lucky, comes to about maybe 500 billion-ish.
Yeah.
And you're probably going to spend that much just to build the infrastructure needed to extract it, refine it, and bring it over here.
Yeah.
So I think once Trump realizes that he was sold a bill of goods that he can't get anything out of it like he wanted, he'll probably drop even the mineral deal. But really, even if that were the case, Russia is not going to allow the United States or any other foreign power to maintain a presence in Ukraine, knowing that they're just going to use that opportunity to rebuild it and rearm it.
Exactly.
For conflict.
Exactly. That's why I'm
because
yeah.
Even if Ukraine were to agree to all this and let the United States into territory under its control, that would still require leaving some kind of U.S. military presence or European military presence in Ukraine to try and safeguard that. Moscow's not going to let that happen. They've been burned too many times over the past 25 years to just accept the stated promises of the United States.
Exactly.
And I guarantee you, even if Putin were to drop dead tomorrow from a heart attack, because he's got more years behind him than he has ahead of him, he is in his 70s.
Yeah.
So even if he were to drop dead tomorrow, I guarantee you there's like any number of even more hawkish Russians waiting in the wings to take his place, who are as inclined to nuke Kiev as to agree to anything that the United States might put up. So, no, I don't think that this war is going to end on any other terms than what Russia sets out. And I think at this point, if Russia is smart, it'll press onto Kiev and take control of that city, install its own government favorable to Moscow, and turn Ukraine into a landlocked buffer state between Russia and the rest of Europe.
Yeah,
and
NATO.
If Finland or Sweden try to pull any shit, they'll get the same treatment.
Yeah. Agreed.
And NATO's not going to be able to do a damn thing about it because it's exhausted all its weapons and ammo, sending them to Ukraine, into the meat grinder.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but the only way that this war ends, I think, is if Russia takes Kiev. Now, I'm not predicting that, but just based on what I've observed so far, I think it's reasonable to assume that if Putin and his ministers are smart, they'll probably decide ultimately to go down that route, because anything else would just leave a hostile military presence on their border, which was a reason for the war in the first place. So I don't think they're going to let Ukraine try and negotiate any kind of peace deal. I think they're going to press on and take the rest of the country, which could happen within a matter of weeks, especially if the blockade of aid holds.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're
Ukraine done. They done.
Yeah. But really, there's another reason why I don't think Russia is going to really be keen on accepting any terms offered by the United States. It's because Moscow is fully aware, because the neocons who run Washington, okay, they're not at all subtle in telegraphing what they actually want. Okay, Moscow knows that the only reason Trump wants an end to the Ukraine war is because he wants to go after China.
Yeah.
Because the neoconservatives are basically divided, all right, along two camps. There's the anti-Russia faction, and then there's the anti-China faction. Now, they're both anti-China and both anti-Russia.
Right.
It's that the anti-China faction prioritizes destroying China over destroying Russia. And the anti-Russia faction, it's vice versa. They see Russia as a greater threat, and China that can be dealt with after Russia is destroyed. But they want both countries destroyed, ultimately, because the entire neoconservative agenda is to ensure uncontested global dominance by the United States, which
Yeah.
means no other superpower is allowed to come into existence or to rise back up
Exactly.
from having collapsed. So,
Yeah.
this is really just, the anti-China faction of the neoconservative establishment in Washington in charge now. And it wants to try and mollify Russia so it can destroy China. Not going to happen. But
Good
they're
luck with that.
thinking, if you can call it that, is once China is dealt with, then they can go back and resume operations against Russia using Ukraine and other proxies. And again, I think Russia is too smart for that. I think Beijing is too smart for that.
Yeah.
So I don't think that their attempts to sacrifice Ukraine for their anti-China agenda are really going to work.
Exactly. But you gotta say to yourself, Mike, like, isn't like outsourcing our jobs to China is the reason why China is the dominant superpower?
Well,
Like, United States did
the
it to
last part
itself.
of it, yeah, because basically Deng Xiaoping, who became party chairman in the 1980s after Chairman Mao passed away, and they had some other troubles there. But Deng Xiaoping, what was the guy who basically opened up to the West and very pragmatic. There was a lot of opposition to him
Yeah.
on the domestic front, but he was a little bit more pragmatic in realizing that if China is going to come out of the dark ages, as it were, it had to modernize and it had to build up its industrial base. And as
Yeah.
the 1990s got underway, you have Bill Clinton coming into power. He's the one who signed NAFTA into law. George H.W. Bush couldn't get it done. It took the
Got it started.
Democrats to get it done. So, he signed NAFTA and all these other trade deals, and it made it easier to outsource to countries like Malaysia, to the Philippines, to Mexico, to China, because it was all corporate greed. And China was like, okay, we see what's really behind this. So we're going to play along, but we're going to use the infrastructure that is being built to accommodate all this to build up our own manufacturing base and our own products so that, because China is playing the long game.
Yeah.
And, so once, once the current leadership came to power, by that point, American manufacturing is dead. We deindustrialized in favor of becoming a financial services economy.
Yeah.
And even that is tanking. So, we don't have the industrial capacity. So, and this comes again to Trump's fantasy of conquering the whole of North America and then some, is because, even if you leave out all the other stuff I mentioned aside, the weakness of the military and having decimated all of our hardware fighting the Ukraine war and giving it to Israel, we no longer have a viable industrial manufacturing infrastructure. That got dismantled when we decided to engage in all these trade deals.
Yep.
And plus, with the tariffs that we're levying, well, guess what? BRICS countries are starting to get the message, and they're levying tariffs against us. China is responding with retaliatory tariffs. Canada and Mexico, I'm sure, will respond in kind with their own.
Yeah.
Because yesterday, the tariffs that Trump threatened Mexico and Canada with went into effect.
Yeah. And the stock market tanked heavily.
Yeah. So
I've seen that too. So.
Right. So again, Trump has no idea what he's doing.
No.
He wants to be the happy figurehead who takes credit for everything. Make America great again. Put my name and face on it.
Yeah.
And leave it to the people he delegates all the actual dirty work to.
Yeah.
To get it done. But even they're too stupid to know what the fuck they're doing. Muskrat, he is completely destroying the United States bureaucratic infrastructure in ways that are even negatively affecting the neoconservative agenda. Sure, they want to get rid of Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, but they're also getting rid of people in the Department of Energy who are responsible for nuclear weapon development
Yeah.
and
Right.
security and maintenance, and having to
Right.
try and recall them back because they realized, oh, we made a mistake.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. The nuclear. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, there was an article not long after Muskrat took over Twitter where some business insider was like talking to Muskrat on the phone and says, "Look, do you know what you're doing, or are you just winging it?" Because he was tanking Twitter, and it was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
And by that point, it's like, okay, yeah, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. It's like
Yeah.
Twitter is so glitchy now because he
Oh my
thought,
God.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, all this coding is unnecessary, and there's no reason for it. No, there were actual reasons for this.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know the first thing about coding.
Yeah. Yeah. People call this guy a genius.
Yeah,
It
it's like
just
with the
it drives
Social
me
Security
crazy.
Administration claiming there's all this fraud and citing all this old ancient code, which is giving supposedly
Yeah.
erroneous data. Well, no, there's a reason for that data being the way it is. It's
Right.
because that all that computer code was first started in like the 1960s or whatever, and in order to maintain it and keep it running smoothly, instead of ditching it and swapping it out for a new set of coding and trying to transfer all that manually over to the new system, it was just easier to build on top of the stuff that you started off with.
Yeah.
And then of course there's redundancies for put in place to take into account people who's or the spouse dies and then the surviving spouse gets the remaining benefits, people who had their information retained even though they don't have that social security number anymore, because you're actually using that to keep records for the purposes of making sure that fraud doesn't happen. So if someone starts trying to draw on that number, well, no, you've got that original info there. Say, oh yeah, this is who it actually belongs to. We need to look
Right.
into it and shut it down. So there's any number of reasons why you would have code like that in there that Muskrat doesn't understand. It doesn't even try to understand.
Right. Right.
Because he thinks he's
Yeah.
a genius and doesn't actually have to learn anything. It's like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. It just it's like
Yeah, and now they want to.
Muskrat man.
Yeah, and now they want to do this stunt with Fort Knox and pretend that there's no gold in there, that it's somehow all been plundered. Well, no, it's actually should have gold in there. What they want to, the real reason they want to go into Fort Knox is so they can open it up and let Muskrat take every last bar of gold out of there.
Yeah. 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 It's wild, man. It's
But
so
apparently,
wild.
China some years ago decided to stash some of its gold reserves in Fort Knox, which the U.S. has decided, nope, we're keeping it. And if you think China's going to let that slide,
Yeah. Oh shit.
think again.
No. Oh hell. Hell to the no. You right about that. Yeah.
Oh, but apparently the measles outbreaks in Texas and other parts of the country is
Yeah.
so
West Texas.
bad
Yeah.
that even RFK is having to reverse his anti-vaccine policy to say, hey, we need to
Yeah.
get people vaccinated, because the ones who are getting sick and dying are the ones who are unvaccinated. The ones who did get vaccinated, we're fine.
Oh man.
Actually,
Yeah.
I need to make sure that I'm vaccinated, but
Me too. Yeah.
I lost my Medicaid coverage,
Oh
so
yeah.
I can't actually pay for any vaccinations.
Yeah. I'm wondering if my health insurance is employee based. I hope it covered my vaccines too. Oh jeez.
Yeah,
Man,
Medicaid covers quite a lot, but it won't cover travel vaccines. You have to pay for those out of pocket, which is stupid.
that's so stupid. Yeah. Like vaccines are vaccines supposed to protect you. Like why you? Yeah. It's
Yeah, especially if
always
you're traveling to another country, you would think, okay,
yeah.
maybe weighing the cost versus the benefits, the
Yeah.
benefits should win out, and that you're not taking any diseases over there or bringing any back.
Yeah.
Start a new
Yeah.
pandemic.
Yeah.
Oh,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, and then and then some of the Twitter group chats. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can call this up because I don't believe I can't believe I actually have to point this out.
No.
Because some clown shoe within one of the group chats that I'm part of on Twitter was basically saying we should be getting everyone to meet in the real world.
Yeah, I'm in that group chat too.
Yeah. So this guy's saying, anyone here in the WNY area, if you don't know what that is, you aren't. I'm assuming West New York, but who knows? Then he says, look, I want you all to connect with someone here. I only want you to consider people within 50 miles of you. I want you to meet each other. I don't know what your group is going to be about. Discuss amongst yourselves and not online and not on phones and not on camera or Alexa or Google or anything else. In person. Can you all do that? Christian Martin, who's a typical shitlib, says maybe.
Yeah.
I asked what COVID precautions will be in place. And he says, you're kidding. Y-O-U-R is in possessive form of you, kidding right. So I decided to get smart with him and say, am I kidding right? What does that even mean?
Oh my God. These operatives, bro.
Yeah, so and then he says, if it concerns you this much, you don't have to meet and organize and plan with real people to do real things. Just keep on sharing the memes that feed the fires. And my response was, because I wasn't having it, you still haven't explained what you mean in asking about my kidding right. How does one kid right? If you can't communicate like an adult, you certainly can't expect people during an ongoing and worsening pandemic to risk brain damage just to see you in person. If you want to we need to figure out such things as logistics and mitigating airborne pathogens. Okay? Because here's the thing. It's like, first of all, learn the difference between the possessive form of you and the contraction of you are. Okay? And learn
exactly.
Commas. All right? There's a meme out there that says, my 3 favorite activities are eating meat, not eating my cats, and not using commas. Where he meant to use eating my cats and not using commas, which would have made sense if he'd actually used any commas. But since he didn't, he says, my favorite activities are eating cats and not using commas. So that's what this guy. That's how bright this guy is. He's fulfilling the meme. All right.
Oh my God!
And so Christian Martin says everyone can wear gloves and KN95 face masks. Well, first of all,
gloves
or ear loop masks. Now, gloves that depends. All right, but in terms of like N95 or P100, so
N95,
okay, great. Yes, everyone can. The question is whether everyone will. And then this clown, Jeffrey Kramer, says, you can always sell the safety precautions as facial recognition disruptions with the added benefit of keeping attendees pathogen-free. Never know what our government will try to point us with next. So basically typical COVID anti-vaxxer.
Yeah.
So, and then Martin is saying, we'll all social distance 20 feet apart. And I'm like, or you can just, install far UVC, HEPA filtration, have open windows, and enforce that 95 policy for everyone.
Yeah.
Seriously, if you're this much of a dweeb that you don't realize that COVID causes brain damage, and that's actually a bad.
I'm like, I'm like, you supposed to be leftist. Left is supposed to. I mean, you're supposed to be about protecting each other, ensuring safety, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
But. Man, I can't believe that shit. You said,
especially when they're doing mask bans, because they want to use facial recognition software, and really, if you're going to for facial recognition, it's not enough to wear below with the respirator. You have to cover the eyes too, because it's actually part of the face that is actually easier to scan. So if you're covering up, like say RoboCop, because you'd be surprised how many people have similar looking mouths and chins. But it's the upper half of the face that actually completes the picture. Now mine are transition lenses, so if I'm making contacts outside, but still, I mean, anything that would force the the pigs to have a harder time identifying you, you should want to wear that at the same time as you're trying to protect people's health in an ongoing pandemic. So that, because this is the thing that the COVIDiot crowd doesn't want to consider. All right? Because they love to push conspiracy fantasies, and I hate conspiracy fantasies with a passion. All right, don't get me started on the 9/11 morons who, even 24 years later, still refuse to tell the truth. Even as they claim to try and be finding it, or the people who think Hurricane Katrina was an inside job, or that the levees were detonated, or the people who think the Denver airport is a secret Illuminati base, and that the giant ugly ass horse statue is some kind of demonic presence because it's got red glowing eyes and blue skin. No, that's just that's what we call an artistic choice, a bad one, but it's still an artistic choice. So. But and then of course the people who think Pizzagate is a real thing and that the Epstein was dumb enough to keep a client list. Right, because honestly, and of course thinking that his flight log is proof of all these people being pedophiles. It's like no, because you have to actually prove that they went to the island. Because just flying on an Epstein-owned plane isn't enough in and of itself to prove that this person was a client. No, you have to actually place a person on Epstein's island.
Right.
Or with one of his victims. And if you can't do that, then the flight log means nothing. Now, we know that Bill Clinton visited Lolita Island. We know Alan Dershowitz visited Lolita Island.
Yeah.
So it's pretty, so it's not just Democrats. There's a fair number of Republicans too, which I'm sure is why Pam Bondi is dragging her feet releasing the Epstein files, because she knows, if she releases it unredacted,
oh shit, it's over. Yeah.
Some of the people to whom she answers get implicated.
Yeah, I'm surprised Muskrat on that motherfucker too.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, Muskrat was a good friend of Ghislaine Maxwell's. So.
Yeah, Maxwell. Yeah. Yeah, so
and really the only way he could get laid is to buy a prostitute, because fucking, I mean, seriously, if you embody a Rob Liefeld drawing from the early 90s,
oh my god,
chances are you're actually still a virgin, and that all 14 or 15 of your kids were all conceived via IVF.
Yeah, exactly.
Or because you had to jerk off into a cup, because otherwise none of these women would have let you touch her with a 10-foot cattle prod.
Oh shit, man!
It's kind of like with Ben Shapiro. Okay, I mean the boy perpetually sounds like he helium before every podcast. And he's over 40 now, okay? Growing up a rubbish beard to prove that he's some kind of heterosexual, totally not a virgin guy.
Yeah, a manly man.
Recaps of his from Twitter showing, yes, my kids are mine, and I know because I've had a paternity test. It's like, first of all, you have to take a paternity test.
You know kids are young?
Something's already going on. Yeah. And no, Ben, your wife is not 1/16 black on her great-grandfather's side. No.
Oh my god! Wow.
And consider that that they probably used your sister.
Oh my god!
The one Ben keeps fawning over and showing off in really creepy and unhealthy ways.
Yeah, suspect. Ultra suspect.
Yeah. Every right wing accusation is a confession.
Yeah, it is. Totally, 100%.
When they start talking shit about trans people and gay people supposedly being groomers, no. That's the straight white people.
Exactly.
The heterosexual cis white people. They're the pedos. They're the ones who are saying, "Oh yeah, we need to lower the age of consent to like 12 or 13." Get them, start breeding them early.
Yeah.
Because by the time they hit 30, they're already over the hill. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You're telling on yourselves, people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and of course, Andrew Tate and his brother are out of prison. They're never going back to Romania. Yeah, Romania basically gave up on prosecuting Andrew Tate. I mean, they're going to try and go through the motions, but they've lost him because the United States not only pressured Romania to imprison the winner of its last presidential election, who was more inclined to take a neutral stance towards Russia, but it also pressured the Romanian government to release the Tates.
Exactly.
Which is ironic because you know who the governor of Florida is right now? Rick Scott, I believe.
Ron DeSantis.
No, Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is in Florida. Well, you know what he's doing?
Yeah.
His AG is opening up a case against the Tates.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
it's a man. Shit about to pop off now. It look like it. Like shit about to pop off.
Yeah, so Andrew Tate will not be able to go to Florida.
Oh shit!
But he'll probably take up residence in the White House. I don't know, but
yeah, probably yeah. Oh yeah, I agree with that.
But yeah,
damn.
So that's the state of things right now.
Clown show, man. Every day in the news.
Yeah,
in the news sector, something, man, new. Like holy shit.
Yeah, and the Democrats' only answer to this is to double down. I mean, the Democrats got taken over by the neocons the
90s.
Years ago, yeah. So, yeah, late 90s, early 2000s, they basically threw their lot in with the neoconservatives. So,
right.
So, if there's one thing about neocons that you need to understand, all right? They never, under any circumstances, learn from their mistakes because they're incapable of even admitting to having made mistakes. So all they know how to do is to double down on those mistakes.
Yeah.
With the reasoning, if you can call it that, that they just didn't do it hard enough. So we're going to just do the same thing, only harder, and expect a completely different result.
Yeah.
Occasionally, like with Syria, they get lucky, but for the most part, they're stupid.
Yeah. Neocons in general are just fucking.
Yeah, the only reason they even got lucky with Syria is because Bashar al-Assad was apparently so caught up in seeing to his sick wife that he basically was like, "Fuck it."
Yeah.
And eventually Shadow resigned from the presidency before he even got overthrown. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I appreciate that he's loyal to his wife and worships the ground she walks on and cares about
good.
Her much. But at that point, you really need to say, look, maybe it's time to step aside and put my vice president in charge, or pick a replacement or something. But if it gets to that point where your own personal issues leave you unable to discharge the duties of your office, you really need to hand the reins of power over so that your country can remain stable and hold off the invasion by the U.S.-backed jihadists.
Right.
The Al-Qaeda offshoots, the ISIS offshoots, basically they're all backed by Israel. Because they figure, much like the United States did with the Mujahideen in Afghanistan, they figure they can use them to their advantage. So, and then of course Israel is saying, "Oh yeah, the new Syrian government, you're not allowed south of Damascus."
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, the United States and Israel are not going to get that lucky again. They're not going to be able to do that same shit with Iran as it did to Syria.
Yeah.
So things are pretty bad right now in the Middle East, but I don't think Russia or China is going to let Iran fall. I don't think they can afford it.
Right.
So, there is a Chinese warning that says, "May you live in interesting times," which is basically another way of saying, may you devolve into a collapse into a complete and total shit show.
Totally.
Because of your own hubris.
Yeah.
And we do indeed live in interesting times.
Totally, man. It feel like, man. Let's talk about what's going on in Gaza. Like, also, Israel has
Israel has
basically,
been violating the ceasefire since day
yeah,
one. It decided, we don't want to go into phase 2, which was supposed to start a month ago. So they
right,
use a pretext to claim that Hamas wasn't honoring its part of the agreements. No, it's been completely honoring its agreements.
yeah,
But Hamas was saying, look, we need you to hold up your end of the deal so that we
right,
can go on to the next phase of the ceasefire. And Israel's like, nope.
nah, nah. Israel was never
So
serious to
now they've
begin with.
decided to use Ramadan, which is supposed to be a month of fasting. And I'm like, how many Ramadans are there? I know there's one in the autumn, I think about November, and then in the spring, but I don't remember exactly how many Ramadans are in the Muslim faith.
I think
But
it's 2.
they picked Ramadan to cut off all food aid to Gaza so they could starve them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Benjamin Netanyahu said there'll be no lunch for the Palestinians and all that shit. So, yeah, definitely.
Netanyahu is showing again that he is Adolf Hitler reborn.
Yeah, yeah.
The boy even looks a lot like Adolf Hitler. I mean,
So, dude. Oh
you
my
put that
god.
little mustache
Yeah.
over his lip, and I guarantee you, people will be making the connection.
Exactly. So, dude,
Especially with
man.
that hairstyle of his.
Oh, jeez. Oh my god. Yeah. Um. Before we go, I'm gonna share your fundraiser. Let me share my screen here.
Yes, please do, because my bank card got hacked over the
Oh.
weekend. So So I went to check my bank account on Saturday. Discovered some transactions that I didn't actually make, so I had to call
Oh.
the bank, like the number that was on the back of my bank card, and dispute the charges. So they had to close out my bank card. Hopefully, they sent me a new one.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, the money that got taken out was restored yesterday, so I was able to pay my rent. But now I'm only down to $3 in my bank account,
Mm.
and I've not gotten any donations in a month. So I'm trying to recoup my my costs from getting the TEFL courses.
Yeah.
So, any amount would help, but even if you can send me like $30-$40 to tide me over until
Okay.
next week, then I can, then I'll have my my next unemployment check, and my unemployment is running out too. So, it's I've only got about 9 more weeks or so, and then that's it.
Oh. Oh. Okay. Um. Share. Can you send me your Cash App? On
I
Blue
can
Sky or
actually, let me do that right now.
yeah, please do. Yeah, man. Yeah, guys. That's his. Go for Mike's GoFundMe. Um. The links will be in the description below on YouTube and Rumble. So yeah, y'all. If you got a few dollars to spare, $5, $10, $20, anything helps. And so yeah, I need to start promoting your your GoFundMe. I be doing so much stuff
Yeah,
up all over
I
the
do
place.
appreciate it too. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
any amount helps if you can do that. Because right now, being 50 years old, and I may not look it, but
Yeah.
my
You
job
look good.
prospects are pretty much slim to none in this country. And honestly, I've been wanting to teach for so many years, and teaching English in another country, is basically right up my alley. And if I can get geographically closer to my fiance, that's even better.
Right. Oh yeah. 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 And also, our co-founder of the network, Liz, she's trying to get closer to her partner up in Ohio. So I'm trying to raise money
Yeah,
for that too.
well, I wish her luck. I'm not saying she's wrong to want to move up to Ohio, but Ohio's not all that great either in terms of
Yeah.
divisions. I mean, there's some parts of it where the cost of living is lower, but then the wages are also lower.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of like a trade-off. But and then of course, depending on where you live in Ohio, you might, if you're anywhere near East Palestine or the southern or southeastern part of the state, that Norfolk Southern chemical spill,
Oh
that's still
yeah,
in
yeah.
effect.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Southwestern
yeah.
Ohio is almost as bad. Really, uh, Cuyahoga or Lorain County would be really the only areas I would recommend. Maybe
Yeah.
Toledo, but I don't know what the cost of living is up there.
Yeah, I think she's trying to go to the Columbus area. I think. I'm not for
Yeah,
sure.
Columbus, I wouldn't recommend it. But
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, you want to avoid places like Dayton, Youngstown, Akron,
Yeah.
Cincinnati. Um, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but like Cuyahoga County, Lorain County, whatever county Toledo is in. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, but yeah, Columbus is very expensive. It's a state capital, so very pricey.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So
Okay.
maybe you can find this up. Medina is actually not bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's Trump country, but at least the cost of living down there is lower, and there are there is plenty of farmland out there still.
Yeah.
And the downtown area for Medina, oh my God, it is so awesome down there.
That's good, man. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. I need to check out, the area too. The like what area of Ohio you recommend like me, like I never been there before, like where you recommend me to go, like to visit and
Uh,
tour and shit.
if you're talking visiting, I would say Cleveland is a good place to visit.
Okay, yeah.
As far as living here, yeah, you're pretty much taking your chances. You're probably better off in Minnesota or something. But
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. That wraps up episode 5 of the A&M podcast. Be sure to donate to Mike. His links are in the description. And yeah, and also too, like the video as well. Helps us out in the algorithm. And also too, we got a separate YouTube channel also too. So all right, Mike. See you soon.
yeah, good night and good luck.
All right, appreciate you.